A lot of what we do is about slowing down, and most people are busy all day running, um, either mentally or actually, and they're not being mindful. They're not tending to their hearts. It's not a thing that we do culturally. We're busy with our projects. We're busy with our pleasures. And when you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day, it's like these little orphans come running out for attention, right? They come and visit. So how do we take care of our orphans? First, let's look at a couple of direct practical ways. There's I think I sent last week some body scans, and body scans are a great meditation to do towards the end of the day. It's coming back home, leaving the stories from the past and the future, coming back to the present moment. Building that muscle right before the end of the day is a very nourishing way to move into that rest time of the day, the body scan. Develop your Vipassana meditation practice. Develop your insight meditation practice. And this is, honestly, I've been doing it for 8 years, and it's still very much something that needs to be chipped away at. Our minds resist that sitting still. It's not easy. It's simple but not easy. But so the Vipassana meditation, we focus on the anchor, our breath, our body. We wait for thoughts to come or feelings. We make a note. Oh, worried. Oh, I was afraid of that. Yep. And then we let it go and come back to our anchor. We do that as our meditation. That's Vipassana meditation. So you can imagine how that building that muscle during the day when you're doing a sitting meditation of some kind, you can see how that would be helpful at night, right? Being able to let go. Another great, and this is great for daytime and nighttime, but I keep a journal next to my bed after someone suggested it a couple of years ago. And when, if you wake up and you can't sleep, you can practice the art of spewing. I call it spewing. And this is a process of writing really your stream of consciousness. It's unedited. Nobody's going to see it. Whatever is arising in you, because these are the orphans. They're not the ones that we are logically trying to understand. These are the homeless things that haven't found a place to rest, and so you can release them onto the page, and you can curse if that helps, or be irrational, and then it's out. No one will ever see it, so it doesn't matter. There's one last practice that is, I like to call it turning away until morning. Turning away until morning. So maybe this isn't taking care of orphans, although it is. So the practice is when you put your head on your pillow at night until when you pick it up in the morning, you set your intention to make a note of the thoughts, but really to turn away from them until the morning. And since it's very difficult to just turn things off, right? You can't just not think about anything. We note the physical experiences. So for instance, I'll give you an example of this practice. You lay down, you put your head on the pillow, and then you start to note every physical experience that you're having. So adjusting the pillow under my head, pulling this pillow close, moving my one foot on the other foot, moving my feet to a cooler place on the bed, or moving them to a warmer place on the bed, adjusting my neck, brushing the hair out of my face, things like that, these very intimate movements, making a note of them as a way to fill up your mind with the present moment. Fill up the mind with the present moment, because the present moment is so healing and so releasing. And, of course, the thoughts are going to come in. Some worry is going to come up. Then you can practice your Vipassana, noting, oh, yeah, I wish I hadn't said that, feeling a little guilty. Okay, you can go away now. Now let me see, going back to putting my arm out to the side to stretch my shoulder, something like that. So often when we're tense about something, or when something's keeping us up and we really want to sleep, we tense up the body, we freeze, and we try and shut the mind down, and it's just very uncomfortable. So, check and see if you're frozen, and just try and move and shift your body in small ways, kind of like a dog circling around and around on the carpet before he lays down. Anyway, these are a few practical things that came to my mind in the travels that I've had with others and talking about sleep, because it always becomes an issue at some point when something big is happening. And some of us have a much more chronic issue with it. Whatever it is, it's just like anything, like our practice. We experiment and find what works for us. So now I want to point out these are all things to help us sleep, and mindfulness and meditation helps us to sleep, according to the researchers. But mindfulness and meditation is actually a way to wake up. It is not intended to make us go to sleep. It's a way to wake up. It's a way to gain insight into reality. This is what allows us great peace. This is ultimately what allows us to sleep soundly at night. So I wanted to touch on one of the teachings of the Buddha. And one of the key marks of existence is known as impermanence. Impermanence. And the 3 marks of existence, if you're curious, the first mark, the Pali is anicca, impermanence. The second mark is anatta, non-self or insubstantiality. No self. And the third mark is dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or suffering. And if you remember of the 4 noble truths, the first noble truth is dukkha, suffering. There is suffering. This is an inherent part of existence. There's no way to escape it. So anicca, anatta, and dukkha, impermanence, no self, unsatisfactoriness, the three marks of existence. So impermanence it's not an idea. It's not some philosophical idea. It's an insight into the reality that everything is always changing. Even when, we've been in the same house for a long time, or married to the same person, or have the same job, everything around us is just always changing from one in-breath to the next. You can see the change in nature, right? The four seasons is a beautiful example. The tree has these beautiful fresh green leaves in the spring, and by fall they're turning orange and yellow and then ultimately brown, and they fall off the trees and make compost for next year's plants. You can see it in your moods. You wake up one morning and maybe you're feeling kind of lonely, and a friend calls and you have a long conversation. And now you feel happy, you've changed. The millions of cells in your body, every moment, millions of cells are being created inside your own body, and millions of cells are also dying. And we don't have a funeral for them. We know that that's normal, and we accept it. So the suffering really comes when we believe that everything can be permanent. From the paint job that I had on my house, I do want that to last forever, and it won't. To my health, I do want to be pain-free and well my whole life. And that's not reflective of reality. But we get lulled into believing that things that we have now will always be here with us. Our home, our health, our family members, our life. So we want that which has the nature to change to stay the same. We want that, and that's where our suffering lies. Facing the truth of impermanence, facing this reality, this allows us to live our lives more deeply. It allows us to transform our deepest fears. So our fears of change, our resistance to change, they're riding just below the surface, right? We're running around and we're busy with this and that, and these fears really, they're right underneath. So the more we can bring this insight into the conscious awareness upstairs, bring it up from the basement, and make a point to look at it clearly. The more we do that, the less we will be controlled by them. So the Buddha offered a meditation on impermanence. It's actually at the monasteries, it's a daily It's their daily meditation. And he offers this meditation to help shake us out of this dream that things will always be the same, just as we want them to be. And this meditation is called the Five Remembrances. So it asks us to remember 5 things every day. That we are of the nature to grow old. We are of the nature to have ill health. We are of the nature to die. That our loved ones and everything we care about will be separated from us. And that, lastly, our actions are our only true possessions. We don't get to take anything else with us when we pass away. So, contemplating impermanence like this is not intended to make us feel depressed or anxious, but to actually help us to feel more alive, more in touch with the life that we have right here in this moment. The only moment we're ever alive is this one right here. And so this meditation is intended to allow us to touch ever more deeply into that life, the one that we actually have. So I'm going to put this meditation up on the screen, but I'll read it as well. Here we go. So the 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. I find this meditation so deeply moving and so deeply nourishing. It's as if someone is saying, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's just the way it is.